FBC, I was thinking today about the word guilt, that there are kind of different levels of guilt, different forms of guilt. In fact, this morning at Family Fare, I was reminded of one of those forms of guilt. I was in there getting some breakfast and a couple other things, and I started to notice all of these men huddled around flowers. Today's Valentine's Day, and as I passed these guys, it was like that kind of eye contact where the guy would look at you and he'd be like, yeah, I forgot, or I know it's last minute. And there was this level of guilt on their face of, yeah, I'm that guy. And I had a couple conversations with them about it and laughed about it as well. Then I started to think about guilt tripping people. How you might know somebody who's a master of guilt tripping. Like, you don't want to do something and they ask you to do it. And by the end of that conversation, they've said something like, your brother would have done it. Or your dad would really appreciate it. Or something like that, you know, like where they get you to your core and they guilt trip you into doing something. And as I was thinking about that word, it started to remind me of the series that I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. How in the gospel, there's this idea that we can be guilt tripped into following God. But that's not the gospel of Christ. You see, the gospel of Jesus was a gospel of grace. And we're going to be looking at that for the next 2 weeks in the series, The Gospel of Guilt or Grace. We're going to be comparing some things that in our hearts can make us feel guilt and seeing how God offers grace instead. So I want to invite you to come out this Sunday at 9 and 10:30 and next Sunday as well as we kind of unpack what this is, this gospel of guilt, this gospel of grace, and how they apply in our lives. So we look forward to seeing you. Join us online. Join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram with the hashtag FBC Marshall. And we're just excited to worship with you this Sunday.